Sneakers and Cleats, the podcast.
UTSA staying in the American, revitalizing and kind of not revitalizing the Pac-12, stopping the advances of the other team, of the other conference, Pac-12 commissioner said last week they were looking to hit a home run, not a single. Coach Traylor alluded to conversations, not really alluded, he even said it outright, that there was conversations being had between President Amy and Lisa Campos in the background. Are you surprised that all UTSA is staying in the AAC?
I don't know that I would have been surprised either way, to be honest with you, Matt. I don't know that I really particularly get too much into, or it doesn't really interest me that much, all these conference jumping and everything. It's, just let me know when the games are in the fall. I mean, it's hard for me to kind of keep up with it, but I'm glad they're staying in that. I like this AAC league. I like that there are Texas schools in this league. You're just starting to learn some of these other places that they're having to go and some of these teams that they're having to play when they go east. And I really wasn't looking forward to, just if I'm being honest, playing a bunch of Mountain West teams and then the travel and think of the cost that's going to be involved with all that. I mean, would we have gotten used to it? Of course. I mean, I really didn't want to see UTSA leave the first time and then go to the AAC, but you get used to it. But yeah, let me warm up to the idea that you can have a rival that maybe isn't in your state or, things like that. I think that's what interests me is the matchups every week. And if it's a new team, my view of college football, I know this is going to break your heart, but probably doesn't surprise you. I mean, anything west of UTEP, I really don't pay that much attention to anyway. So,
all right, his mic's muted.
So, it's too much to keep up with. And so if they'd have moved, of course, we'd have gotten used to it. But for my own sanity, I'm glad they're staying put.
There's a couple things here. The realignment in general is just exhausting because I'm never going to get used to Stanford playing Syracuse in an ACC conference matchup. But that's kind of besides the point. All of this hinged on money, and as it always does. According to an ESPN article, exit fees from the AAC were looming as a big factor. SMU paid $25 million to leave under a 27-month window, factoring in the revenue that was lost. That would have projected to $27.5 million for Tulane, Memphis, UTSA, and USF to leave. So obviously that's not acceptable because that's more than UTSA has, considerably more. They also said the biggest factor working against the Pac-12 in luring the high-profile AAC programs was that it couldn't guarantee a set monetary amount. Right now, I believe Tulane, Memphis, the big AAC schools, not UTSA, make $9 million a year due to revenue sharing. Pac-12 might have been $12, $13 million, which is obviously a boost, but they couldn't guarantee that because they don't know what the conference is going to look like. So it was the uncertainty for all of those schools that they were just like, let's play it safe and be here in the AAC. Do I think that it would have been a good move for UTSA? I do, because the Pac-12, even though it's not what its previous lore was, the previous iteration, the Conference of Champions, and full disclosure, I have a soft spot in my heart for the Pac-12 because my sister went to USC. I'm an Arizona State guy, so I love the Pac-12 and its previous iteration, but obviously it's not what it used to be. And so do I want to see a revitalization of the Pac-12? Yes. Was it the best move for UTSA? Probably not. I have a feeling that they're going to stay in the AAC till a Big 12 or something opens up, because the Big 12 is the next one on the chopping block, obviously. The ACC, a lot of teams want to leave there, but they'll be fine. The Big 12 is the next one on the chopping block. The Big 12 almost went away years ago, and instead the Pac-12 took its place.
Right.
So if this was the Big 12 calling instead of the Pac-12, I think that this would be a completely different conversation.
100%.
Because of the prominence of the conference still. But an upstart program like UTSA going to now an upstart league like the Pac-12, those two things just don't mix.
Yeah, I would have been on board too. And, as we were spitballing, scenarios, and it doesn't look like the Pac-12 was interested. But, if you could get like Texas State.
Yeah, I like
and
Texas State.
UTSA.
Pull the Sun Belt teams.
Yes, and something that would make something called the Pacific whatever conference feel more Texas-y. Mm-hmm. You know, that's, I think, what the AAC has done a very good job in. That feels to me, you know, when you look up and you can see Texas schools like Rice and North Texas in there, and, you know, it gives me a better feel that I'm in a regional conference. I don't want to be – I don't want my school – I take that back. Like if I was at A&M or Texas and, you know, the SEC came calling, then I don't mind joining something that looks less than a regional,
right?
You know, Southeast, quote unquote. But I don't know.
We don't know what's happening in the world of college football in general right now. I mean,
right.
There's so much flux going on, and the story we're going to get to here in a second even provides that a microcosm into what's going on into college athletics even more. I mean, realignment's going to happen almost every year. You're going to get some sort of school saying we're leaving this conference for this conference every offseason now. I mean, Utah State is now the 7th team that's going to join the Pac-12. Where's the Mountain West going to go? They have to now join another league, or they have to get new teams in their league, which means there's going to be more reshuffling. So for UTSA, it's a matter of time before they leave the AAC and they go to another conference, especially if Jeff continues what he's done here. If they bottom out and they end up 4-8 every year, then no one's going to want them. But if Jeff stays and he continues his 10-2 reigns, or his 8-4s, or his 12-1s, or however many games they can win, they will continue to get these calls, and eventually they're going to accept some sort of offer. It's just a matter of time.
I mean, we've talked about this being the Wild Wild West forever. I don't even know where you begin to how do you get a hold of everything that's going on? Do you have to have a salary cap? Would it behoove not only having a salary cap, but for NIL money, everybody gets paid the same, so you're not creating potential dissension in a locker room. I mean, there's just so many things to unpack with all of this stuff that's going on. NIL, conference changing, you name it. I don't know that I got the bandwidth for it anymore. I think a lot of people, Nick Saban pointing to that. It's like, I don't know that I can keep up with this and what's going on, but there's so much money to be made in college football. I mean, it's the second biggest sports entity in the United States, right behind the NFL.
It's amateur sports, all right?
Yes.